Hey, how y'all doing? This is Hunt 919 at Truth to Sports coming to you with another segment. I think this would be a love or hate it segment. I'm writing this in the point of view of an offensive lineman because they're taking so much criticism. I'm not saying it's not deserved, but it is what it is. I did the same type of segment on Kwamani, looking at things from his point of view, and it did very well. So I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of negative feedback or people that don't care about their point of view. They just want them to block. And I'll try to explain to people sports is more than just acting like a robot and blocking and catching and passing. It's a psychological part of the game that nobody thinks about, or sometimes it seems like they don't care about unless you're that parent of that kid. So I talk from that point of view. So let's get right into it. I want to read something that's very interesting to me. This is just the offensive side of the ball. I looked at the NIL deals. I did my background checks on the internet, and it came back as this. This is just on the offensive side of the ball. The quarterback Shador is valued at $4.5 million. Cornerback / receiver Travis Hunter is valued at $2.2 million. The tight end Michael Harrison is valued at $300,000. Wide receiver Jimmy Horn valued at $300,000. These are roundabout numbers, by the way. A running back Dylan valued at $284,000. Wide receiver Xavier Weaver, he's valued at right around $265,000. Wide receiver Omarion Miller, $100,000. Wide receiver Adam Hopkins, he's a redshirt freshman now, $71,000. The running back Smoke, $68,000. Backup quarterback Casey Wiseman, he's a freshman quarterback, $62,000. So in all, around about numbers, that's about $9 million if I'm not mistaken. The only offensive lineman who has an NIL deal, which is valued at $195,000 or $200,000, is Savion Washington. Okay, so there are 16 linemen in all on the roster. You have 4 freshmen who can be developed. You have 5 sophomores who can be developed. You have 1 senior. You have 4 graduate students, and you have 2 juniors. Okay, so basically, you have these guys who are on the line taking all this abuse from everybody. They're blocking roughly $9 million worth of offensive players that they're blocking for. And most of them, meaning 99% of them, except for Savion Washington, is getting nothing from it. They're watching Shador, and this, I'm not hating, I'm just stating facts. Shador is driving around in one of the most expensive cars you can buy. Of course, he has chains that he wears, which is not a problem to me. I'm just looking at it from their point of view. He's wearing these fancy chains. He's waving like a $70,000 watch in front of a bunch of people who can't afford it, meaning the students. Once he starts waving it to them, he has to listen to Shador and Deion's Jr. music all the time, okay, which is not a problem to me, but I'm just talking about from their point of view. Jimmy Horn, they also block for, he plays this music, and he's a rapper. His chains are coming in now. Guys on the defensive side of the ball have chains coming in now, and it's well documented that some of those things got stolen, but these are all facts. Now think about this. Let's add on to what they may be already feeling as far as NIL deals, watching the people around them, their teammates, are excelling financially with the NIL deals, and they're showing it, of course, with the jewelry, high-priced shoes, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, now you have to deal with all of the YouTubers talking about them. All the YouTubers who cover Colorado football are talking bad about them. ESPN was talking bad about them this morning. Skip Bayless talked bad about them. Michael Irvin, who they actually see in person quite often, talked bad about them. And then of all the people in the world, Coach Deion, Coach Prime talked bad about them. Now, people are saying, we like honesty in the coach, blah, blah, blah. Yes, I agree. We all like honesty in the coach. But another thing that a coach has to do is he has to think about those kids as if it's theirs. He has to think about them. You can get them behind closed doors and give it to them. You can tell them the truth about everything that's going on. You can tell them, hey, we're going to replace you, whatever. Certain things you don't do in front of the media. I don't care what anybody says back to me. Certain things that is going to hurt that player or that team, you got to be careful how you say it. You can say things like, yes, we are struggling. It's something we want to keep working on. Those guys are putting the work in. They're trying hard. I know it looks frustrating to you all on television, but believe me, during the week, they're doing all they can. Now, when I get back to the facilities, we may have a big meeting, and I may give it to them, but not in front of the media. And then when you do it in front of the media, you can't do it that way. You basically told those kids, I'm trying to replace all of you all. That's not going to work well with 4 games remaining. And it may not work well with new guys who may come in, because they're going to say, well, Dag, if he can treat them like that, what happens if I'm not playing well? Because we know some of the great players did not start off playing well. So what if you go in as a highly touted freshman and you're not playing well? You see how he does with Kamani, and then you see how he talks about the offensive linemen. You all think linemen are saying, oh, we can go to Colorado and play. Some of them are like, man, the world's not perfect. I may go and struggle until I catch on to everything. How are they going to treat me? And when he said that, it did make me cringe a little bit. I wouldn't have said it that way. And yes, Deion is a great player, y'all, but he's still learning to coach. He's still learning, especially at this level. He's still learning to coach, and I told you it's a psychology part of the game that most don't think about, but I do think about, because those are kids at the end of the day. And the pros is different. You can wave your watch because those linemen are probably millionaires or thousandaires themselves. They can go get that same watch for the most part. But when you're dealing with college, it's a whole different thing. And what happens is, once all these people start talking bad about you, once everybody around you are getting paid and getting material items from it, they're getting financial items from it, you do start to build resentment, whether you want to admit it or not. You're not jumping around with those teammates and happy, and waving watches and stuff when you don't have one yourself. It would kill your morale. And then when your head coach, who's a famous Hall of Fame player, who 9 million people are watching almost every game for the most part, even though I know those numbers are dropping, he basically says he wants to replace you all with 4 games left in the season. I don't know how anyone can look at that and smile and be like, yeah, coach, I don't blame you. I understand where you're coming from. I think it's wrong. I still like Deion. I still want to support him. But at the same time, I say my true feelings. I'm not jumping on the bandwagon and just jumping on these kids. We know they're doing bad. They know they're doing bad. And adding on to what everybody's saying about them, it's not cool to me. And I'm gonna give an example. If people go online and start saying bad things about Deion, what happens? And everybody knows what happens. People start responding, "You just a hater. You just a hater." They're responding to something because their feelings are hurt, right? So how do you think the kids are going to feel? How do you think these offensive linemen are going to feel? They can't turn on ESPN. ESPN probably one of their favorite shows. Michael Irvin may have been one of their favorite football players, and you have these guys that are just dragging them through the mud. You don't think they know they're bad? You don't think they know they're giving up sacks? You don't think they look back and see Shador's in pain all the time? You don't think they're feeling that? Now, do they care? I don't know. When I told you about the NIL deals, it's not something small, okay? And this is one of the reasons years ago when we first started hearing about the NIL deals, I was talking to some of my fellow coaches and they asked me how I felt about it. I said, listen, I'm all about the kids getting paid. I really am. I said, but what's going to cause a problem is the quarterback is always going to get the most money. You're going to be at your dorms. You're going to be sitting there hungry. You're going to want to ride somewhere. He doesn't have to worry about any of that. And that's going to cause jealousy. I don't care what none of you all say. Y'all can say, get over it. It's not that easy as kids, and y'all know it. It wouldn't have been easy for you either. And I knew it'll cause these type of problems. Now, so they said, well, what would you do? I said, I would still, like, let's for instance, if Shador is worth $2.2 million or $4 million or whatever, if Travis Hunter is worth $2.5 million or whatever it is, pay them just like you normally would, but they can't touch it until they graduate or until they leave the school. It goes into a savings account, and that should be the end of it. They get to live, like all the other students, from everything that football provides, and then all your money you get at the end. That way, you're not trying to live it up like you are Deion Sanders. I think that's that's another thing that messed this team up. They thought they was Coach Prime, and they're not Coach Prime. And some of them, including Shador, was trying to live and act like it. Coach Prime proved it on the field, and he was a one of one. That does not always happen. His talent does not always come across. And I don't think his talent has showed up again yet, or since he's played. So I think it should go into a savings account. They can't touch it until they graduate, and then that money will be sitting there for them. They can look at the pay stub every 2 weeks, or whenever it comes. They can keep up with the amount of money that'll be in the bank, and they let it sit there until they can get their hands on it when they graduate or when they leave the school. So those are my thoughts. I'm looking at it from those offensive lineman point of view. They have parents that are affected by this. Those guys are affected by this. There are 4 games left and multiple practices, and now you know your coach, or you feel your coach wants to get rid of you. Everybody else is hating you right now. So how you think they're going to how they're going to produce now? I'm praying that they take it as a positive and they dig deep and they play better. Or they could easily go the other way. Hey, we're not getting paid. Nobody's sharing nothing with us. Everybody's talking down on us. Coach is going to ask us to transfer this year anyway, because Coach Dion, it seems like he doesn't operate it like it's a college. It seems like he operates it like it's a professional team. If I don't like you, I'm shipping you out the next year. That's not called development to me. That's not called coaching to me. That's just called being an owner of an organization, and you're trading every year. And that may not be popular to say, but that's the truth. So can my kid go to you as a freshman and maybe not be the greatest, but can he develop into something good? Are you really trying to develop kids, or are you just going to live and die in the transfer portal every year? And if you keep living in the transfer portal, you're going to have the same issue year after year. The top transfers, or the top linemen, will not be transferring. They won't go into the transfer portal. So you're only going to still deal with a certain level of offensive linemen or defensive linemen. So you need to be careful how you're dealing with kids. Learn to develop them. Learn to work, have them stay back during the summer and work. Hey, listen, man, I know you want to go home, maybe go home for a week or two and come back. You know, you need to get right for next season. But just getting angry and basically telling the kid you're kicking them off the team, or you're making them feel like that, or you're making them feel like he needs to leave. Because there's ways that coaches can make you feel like you need to leave. Believe me, besides just saying leave, they know how to do it. And most athletes know exactly what I'm talking about. So eventually you're going to have to start thinking about the kid, the mental damage that could be being done to him. And again, you got 4 games left. A coach has to be a car salesman sometime in front of the people. They need to be like, listen, this is who we have. We're going to ground with these guys in these last 4 games. But behind the scenes, you know, where you can't embarrass them, you can give it to them a totally different way. So it's something to think about. It's something that people need to remember. Not only they're human beings, but they're still kids. You know, college or not, they're still kids. Y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. So this has been a segment I think is an important segment. It's been done by Hunt 919 Truth Sports. Ride with me.